Hey nerds, Alex here from Nerds Being Geeks, and I just won another badge at my GLC League. Let's get into it. That's right, I won another badge at GLC League at the Trading Post in Temperance, Michigan. This time I played my Colorless deck. I was originally trying to go for all the Kanto badges, and how they were going to do it is because there's no ground type in GLC. Giovanni's gym was going to be a fighting gym as well. So I have to win with 2 fighting decks to get all of the badges in the Kanto region. But one of the players there, after I won my psychic badge, was like, hey, let's do Colorless next week. And I was like, yeah, I can totally do Colorless. Even though it didn't go with the badges that I was trying to get in order, I still won. So this is the Zephyr badge from the Johto region. Now this is for flying type. I believe it was from the Violet City gym. And I do have a few birds in my Colorless deck, so it kind of worked out. And as always, I wanted to point out that the badges that the Trading Posts do are not stickers on a postcard. They are physically 3D printed items that are hand painted by the professor at the Trading Post. Now, I've tried to do my personal deck profiles before taking the decks to League, so it's gonna be like a hodgepodge. I don't want to dig too deep into it because at some point I would like to go and do a real deep dive into the deck like I usually do. But I just want to do a quick overview, some of the highlights of the deck. I faced a Colorless from the competitor that wanted us both to bring Colorless. I believe it was 2 Whale Lord decks. This league has a lot of newer players to the format, and everyone loves the whales. Anyways, let's get into this deck. It's Colorless. It is probably the strongest archetype right now, and it's only going to get stronger with the release of the Hops Pokemon and the stadium that goes along with that, and the tool. I'll probably make a video on all of that, but for right now, this is my build. I personally am not a fan of the Skwovet, Barrel, Oranguru combo. It's very strong, but I just don't like it. I feel like it's too turbo for GLC. It's a very standard kind of gameplay, and I really like the slowed down, well, maybe not super slowed down because of what is in this deck, but just to dig through your deck that fast is kind of crazy to me. But let's start off with some of the things that I carry in here that might be a little different. Even with the ban on the fossil lab, I still play the fossils. I really love the fossils. I really love the theme. I have these cards in like this ivory colored to resemble bones. So I really wanted to keep the fossil theme kind of going in here. And with Archeops and Aerodactyl, I do play the unidentified fossil. And depending on what's prized or what the game plan is, I can pick between accelerating a ton of energy with Primal Turbo. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 special energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. Or if I want to start hitting for 3 colorless Fossil Fangs, it'll do 180 damage. So it gives me options, and I can recycle unidentified fossil with cards like Roseanne, which I play. So I really like the theme of the fossils here. Up next is this Bumblebee, and I use it for its ancient trait that will allow it to attack twice. So even if it knocks out your opponent's Pokemon, they have to bring up another one and you get to attack it again. I really don't use it for attacks. I did use the Burrow to discard some cards from my opponent, which was actually pretty nice. I mean, you can also use it for the Rototiller that lets you shuffle a card from your discard pile into your deck to get that fossil back. So what I did with this bunny, and it happened more often than you would think, is I do it with the Technical Machine Evolution. This happened quite often, and it was absolutely devastating to my opponent. Was I would do that to Archeops, and turn 1 I had Primal Turbo going. It was insane. And I got my bench full with Fan Call on this Fan Rotom, and wow, I think out of the 3 rounds we played, I was able to get this off every single time. It is a lot easier to find than you would think. If you don't know, Fan Call, once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 3 colorless Pokemon with 100 HP or less, reveal them, and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. You can't use more than 1 Fan Call ability during your turn, and it has to be on your first turn. I want to go back to Snorlax and Slacking. A lot of people play the Slacking with a lazy ability that turns off your opponent's abilities. I like this Slacking because it hits for 240 damage for 3 energy, and its ability is the same as Thumping Snore from Snorlax. This Pokemon is asleep. You have to flip 2 coins, and the only way to wake up is both of them have to be heads. I play things like Wind Up Bar. This Pokemon can attack even if it's asleep or paralyzed, which came in to play quite often. I play things like All Night Party. Once during each player's turn, if that player's active Pokemon is asleep, he or she may remove that special condition and heal 30 damage from that Pokemon. Along with that, play Therapeutic. The Pokemon this card is attached to recovers from being asleep, confused, or paralyzed and can't be affected by those special conditions. So that is 3 ways to wake me up or attack while I'm sleeping. 240 damage, and the staple in almost every colorless build, this Snorlax, that does 180 for 3. I actually won a game because of this Dodrio. I was doing the Zooming Draw, Ballistic Beak. This attack does 30 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon, and its ability Zooming Draw. Once during your turn, you may put 1 damage counter on this Pokemon. If you do, draw a card. I was doing some work with this, and it's a beautiful shiny, so can't go wrong with that. Great addition to colorless, and another staple, the Barrel, that lets you draw up to 5 cards every turn. So I already talked about my tools, but I do play Counter Gain. If you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, attacks used by the Pokemon this card is attached to is 1 less. So not too bad if we're having trouble getting some of those energy out there. Lux Cape gives yourself an extra 100 HP, but if you get knocked out, your opponent gets 2 prizes. Already talked about TM Evolution, and we talked about Wind Up Arm. So the items are pretty standard versus Seeker. I do have Fossil Excavation Map to get that fossil. Switch Cart, and then Special Charge to shuffle some of those special energy back into the deck. You know, I can search the fossil out with Skyla, Sharon's Care to scoop up a Pokemon, Peonia to get those cards out of the prizes. You know, I can also search for the fossil with Arven as well. Winona, Guzma, and teammates. A lot of solid, very good supporters. And then something that probably isn't very good, but I like it. I thought it was a cool little thing. Was I play nothing but special energies. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of that. A lot of people play fire in their colorless so they could use Mela. But yeah, no Raihan. This is probably the only deck that I've built that doesn't have Raihan. I just thought it was kind of cool. If I have to face that Hexorus that knocks out your opponent that has any special energies on it, I'm in trouble. But I guess I would just play Snorlax to shut that off. But yeah, nothing but special energy. And it worked out really well. Alright guys, this is the deck that I won my colorless badge. Just remember, at the trading post, it is not competitive as like a full grip games. It is a lot of play your favorites and have fun and win a badge. I like to play my favorites, but also try and keep it somewhat competitive. So a lot of my decks tend to be a mix of a meta and just trying to have a good time. Alright guys, that is my colorless deck. Let me know your thoughts. It's probably going to get revamped when Hops Pokemon come out, because those are just insane, and who wouldn't want to play 2 Snorlaxes? Alright, let me know your thoughts. Appreciate you watching, and I'll talk to you later. Oh, I forgot. I think I did show it off, but I do play the Ivory sleeves with the Dragon Shield Smoke perfect fits, so the Pokemon logo does not come through the back of the sleeve. And I put it in a white box that I carry extra sleeves and a divider.